Alright guys, TJHaLy here again today, and I'm going to talk about Call of Duty, which may be surprising. So yes, the CDL is coming out next year. I said a little bit strange, not really coming out, but the CDL is going to be the Call of Duty League, and it's going to follow the same name pretty much situation as the Overwatch League. The OWL is, well, has been the thing for the Overwatch League, and Activision Blizzard run that as well, and they will be running the Call of Duty League, so it's not going to be the CWL anymore, it's going to be the CDL, as the OpTic Gaming brand leaked when they confirmed that they had indeed bought the spot in, they bought the Los Angeles spot, of course, under the new Immortals heading, and well, it's not really owned by Hector anymore, which hasn't been for a while. So today I wanted to talk about the esports bubble and whether, to what degree, it will affect Call of Duty and the CDL more generally, because there's a lot of teams right now, the likes of 100 Thieves, at least as of recording this video, that are not confirmed to have a team in the franchise league next season. Now, whether this is because they can't afford it is unlikely. 100 Thieves have a hell of a lot of money behind them. It's more likely that they're taking their time to consider whether this is actually a worthwhile investment, because I am not convinced it is. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and there's a lot of reasons esports more generally why there is I would say some reason to be concerned. So we're going to go through that today and my perspective on the CDL and where there is some potential issues here. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Like if you do, subscribe if you are new as well, would greatly appreciate it. I think I said that wrong, but it's fine. So this guy, Devin Nash, he made a video on this. I'll leave it linked down below if you guys want to look at it in more detail. He brings up a lot of great points around the league. If you're not subscribed to his channel and you're interested in esports stuff more generally, I would greatly recommend. So this individual is a former CEO, I think, of CLG, Counter Logic Gaming. You may know that esports organization, and he has a lot of insight into the industry and exactly how it works. Now, he made a great video detailing this in more detail, and I would recommend going to have a look at it. So I want to kind of tailor the discussion more exactly to Call of Duty and have a look at some of the statistics that he brings up and why I'm a little bit worried about the state of the league. So, something I would also like to refer to in this video is this article. You may not be able to see the entire thing, but it says Shady Numbers and Bad Business Inside the Esports Bubble. A fantastic article on Kotaku from Cecilia. Okay, let's not bother with that. I don't want to butcher it. But yeah, this is a very, very long article, as you can tell. It goes down all the way down here. Let's just drag this all the way to the bottom. But it goes through a lot of very important, very interesting points about esports more generally, and I wanted to have a look at it really from a Call of Duty perspective today. So firstly, this is my perspective on exactly what's going on in the industry. A lot of people are investing in esports right now. Of course, it's going to be the next big thing, right? That's what everyone says. But as Cecilia says here, the mainstream narrative of esports has been lovingly crafted by those who benefit from its success. There's a lot of incentive for people in, well, the position of, you know, CEOs of the esports organizations to say and to promote the narrative that esports is, you know, it's right there, it's mainstream, it's getting all these viewers. You hear these statistics about how, you know, like the League of Legends or the Dota 2, the International or whatever, had more viewers than the Super Bowl or whatever. But it's not, they don't equate, because the people who go to the Super Bowl, they're attending live, they're ridiculously profitable in terms of the amount of money they're putting in, they've got all the jerseys, all this stuff. The average person who's watching esports, you're not getting anywhere near as much revenue from the individual watching the Twitch as you would be to, you know, the Twitch stream, as you would to a real life sports fan, even if they're not attending the events. So that's interesting. So probably the content in esports more generally right now is not good enough to justify a lot of these revenues, even if they are having a lot of viewership. So look, there's a lot of things going on here. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, but the way I look at it is that these venture capitalists, they're investing from outside. They think of esports just as another type of sports, and they think, okay, well, sports is very profitable in this particular way, and we've done it all before. We have all of these little, you know, city-based franchise leagues. Let's go in with the same system. And esports esports, it'll work no problem. It's free money. We don't have to think about any other potential pitfalls or any ways that it could go wrong, or, you know, are we going to worry about, like, you know, it's a global community, it's people on the internet, like, is that going to change things? Like, nah, let's not bother. Let's just make a city-based franchise league, and then everyone in that city who supports, I don't know, the NBA team that they happen to have in that particular city, they'll also start following esports because, you know, they live in the same city, so obviously they're going to support their local city team. I don't think it works like that, and that's why I've had some worries about the system for quite a while. And I can see why they're going for it, but look, I just think a lot of the money is coming in and people are telling other people that yes, esports is the next big thing. There's obviously no reason that it can possibly fail or anything can possibly go wrong. You don't even really have to think about it too much. It's just going to be like a normal sports league. It's basically just another way to make free money. So give me your 25, 30, 40 million dollars, and within 10 years we'll get you a nice ROI on that. Whether that's the case is, in my opinion, pretty unlikely. And, well, there's a lot of questions around the economy more generally right now. It's obviously been 10 years since the last financial crash. There will be another one sometime soon. I can basically guarantee it to you. And when the economy does go down the pan, then the investors are not going to be so keen on investing. And they're also going to be looking very much for some sort of quick return on their investment because things don't continue as they have been forever. So the real question is, can the Call of Duty League justify the investment that these venture capitalists and the other people investing are putting into each spot? Because we know it's a hell of a lot of money. Supposedly minimum $25 million, which is just mind-blowing to me. And then supposedly for the LA spot, the bidding was up in the region of like 60, 70 million that the Mortals ended up buying. And it's just, those are just crazy numbers compared to the amount of viewership that Call of Duty gets. Because let's face it, franchising the game doesn't mean that just so many more people will just come and watch. And I don't know where these fans are potentially going to be coming from. I don't see exactly how you're going to, you know, 9 times, 10 times the viewership in just overnight by franchising the game. If you can explain to me exactly how that happens, then maybe we may have something here. But Call of Duty right now is way too small in terms of the viewership figures to justify this kind of investment. Now, one worry I have with the Overwatch League more than I do with the Call of Duty League is that at least in Call of Duty, you have a new game every single year. So what I would say is that about Overwatch, I am pretty worried, and I think a lot of people are kind of worried, that Overwatch as a game at some point might die out. People might stop playing it. This is, of course, the massive difference between esports and regular sports, which is where, well, you can sign people on X amount of year contracts because you know that people are still going to be playing basketball in, well, I mean, you know, not even, you know, 10 years, 50 years, 100 years, whatever. Like, the game's going to go on forever. Whereas in esports, new games are coming out all the time. You don't know how long games are going to last. If the people playing these games move on to different and new opportunities, other games, then the entire scene dies out effectively. And I don't even, like, this seems like an obvious thing, but I don't even think a lot of these investors are even looking at this in detail and thinking this is even a possibility, because the people who are telling them and are selling this deal to them obviously have no incentive to do that. So pretty much there's a bubble, and investors are putting stupid money in when it's very difficult to say whether that investment will actually have a return on investment, you know, 5-10 years down the line. And that's what I'm worried about with Overwatch, really, is that if people move on from Overwatch as a game, the VCs that are invested in that will all of a sudden think, well, bugger, basically, and like, okay, so we're losing money here big time, so what's to say that we won't lose money as well in all other industries, within all other, you know, games within esports? Because as soon as you get something that's negative and something that goes against the grain of what these people have been hearing, that esports is the next big thing, it's free money, invest now, etc., etc., whenever you hear anyone saying something like that, it's probably worthwhile at least doing some more investigations. And, well, if the Overwatch League was to fail, or if anything happened there, if people moved on from that game and the game starts to collapse, and the Overwatch League starts to collapse as well, then the investor confidence across the entire industry goes down the pan, and Call of Duty and all the other games will suffer big time. And this is not something that is, it's not like, okay, so esports is in a bubble, whatever. I think a lot of people are pretty down with that statement. A lot of people are like, okay, just let it pop, it's fine, and then we'll recover. Okay, fair enough. But like, it's not easy to recover from something like this. If the venture capitalists start seeing esports as actually as risky as it actually is, then like they're not going to be involved in esports for several years, and we're going to go several years back in the past, which is why I think maybe the CDL won't be the onset of the collapse, but I think something else will happen at some point where some game will fail, or there'll be some league that goes wrong, and Call of Duty and the CDL as a consequence will also very much struggle. I think it's possible that in 5 whatever years, the investors that come in then, they will have a good opportunity to actually make some ROI and actually, beef up the figures. But I think right now the money that's going in is just pretty much unjustifiable. And, I am worried about knock-on effects from around the esports industry that might reduce confidence. And when that happens, then things really might go down the pan. One other thing to consider here is that where is the ROI? Because how many viewers do we get in Call of Duty? Let's have a look then. So I'll link this website down below. This is what Devin Nash looked at in his video as well. So this, for the last basically half a year, what are the Twitch stats been like for Call of Duty? And look, you can see the average viewership for pretty much whenever is 13,000 viewers on average watching Black Ops 4 on Twitch. And we know the average league play match or whatever has like 20k viewers. The max viewers in the last 180 days was like 142, which I think was at CDL Fort Worth. We can have a look at the graph in just a second here. There's like 1,300 channels on average that are streaming the game. And look, these numbers are not great by any means. The fact that we get such small viewership for league matches, this is really what this article goes into great detail of when you get into this further down bit. There's some really, really interesting stuff about Curse and the Gamepedia page, who effectively, supposedly, you can pay Curse and Gamepedia to host your tournament on one of these little pop-up boxes on the page. So your viewership can go from like 15,000 or whatever it was, and you can quadruple that, or you can get into the, 100,000s, but your chat interactions stay exactly the same because, well, they're not actually watching it, it's just coming up as a little pop-up box. But then you can use the figures to then say to your investors, like, look how well we're doing. Like, if that isn't a sign of a bubble, then I don't know what you're smoking, because, these dodgy figures and these dodgy numbers and all this stuff is really the root source of these things. And this is why the investor confidence in esports is so high, but it's all built on, fabrications. So that's a worry. I'm not saying Call of Duty does that or anything, but the fact that we just don't have many viewers watching the game, it's like, well, where are these people meant to be coming from? How do we just get, like, I know in Overwatch League franchise there was a load more people coming in. Obviously, if you make incentives for people to actually watch the streams, you can get camos, etc., then things can start going up. That's something that I thought they would have done long before now. But look, the viewership is not great to justify $25 million investment into the league. Let's put it that way, because you're getting your return on that from, sponsorships and advertising and the like to the people who are watching the game. And there really isn't too many of them, let's put it that way. Especially if the league next year goes to like a full league system where we don't even have, so many or even any like proper open events. Because let's have a look at this graph real quick. You can see, so these are the maximum viewership and this is the average viewership. You can see how it's been on pretty much a downward trajectory over the last 6 months. But look at the spikes, all right? So CDL Fort Worth is right here in the middle of March, I think. Then we have CDL London here. Then we've got Anaheim here, right? But the league, how many viewers does the league get? Not many at all. Now, I'm not saying people don't care about the league, but people aren't really going to watch it. And the fact that you have a playoffs means that inevitably, a lot of the matches are going to be kind of meaningless. If you didn't have playoffs, then the matches would be more important. But at the same time, I kind of like the fact that you have a playoff event anyway, because it's an actual LAN that people want to watch. Whereas the league, not many people are going to be watching. So you add that fact in along with that it's possible that, we'll have less events next year and it's going to be much much more league-based, and I'm not seeing where you're pulling this viewership from. This is the Fortnite one for comparison, so the average viewership is 10 times, the average amount of channels is 10 times, everything is 10x what we're seeing in Call of Duty. Now, okay, that's Fortnite, whatever, but like, this is probably the figures you want to be looking at. Of course, they're in the negative a bit because Fortnite's a little bit on the downturn, but like, these are the figures you want to be looking at and, you know, seeing if you're about to invest a stupid amount of money into a franchise league. You don't want to be seeing things that are, you know, 10 times lower than that. So to conclude the video and to try and bring some things under one roof, whether the CDL will succeed, I am not convinced. Whether it will fail outright, I kind of doubt it. I don't think it will be the initial thing that starts the chain reaction. I think that other things will happen around esports and other things will probably fail before the Call of Duty stuff does, just because we have a new game every year and therefore you know that people are going to be playing it year on year every single year anyway. One interesting point Devin Nash brought up as well is that getting sponsorships for a game like Call of Duty and selling that is pretty damn difficult because, you know, Call of Duty, CSGO, these kind of games have issues being like a first-person shooter. Even League of Legends and the like has some issues with this because it's, you know, fighting or whatever. Difficult to get brands and sponsorships to be down to supported and put their brand alongside products like this that kind of have a, you know, a bad reputation amongst certain individuals. So that's also a worry that they'll have to take into consideration, and all these things together means that I don't have a particular amount of confidence that this is going to work in the, you know, in the medium term at least. I think in the long term it'll be no problem. Maybe the esports industry will, you know, the bubble will pop, things will drop down a bit, and investors will actually start seeing the landscape as it truly is, and then maybe we can build up to a point where, okay, well, maybe we actually have some solid foundations. But I think that the people investing right now all their money into Call of Duty will have a very difficult time getting a good ROI in, you know, the next 5 to 10 years, because I think that things are going to be on a bit of a downturn, and I don't really see where all the viewership is going to be coming from. I don't know where it magically appears from. You know, if it appears through dodgy stuff like this, if this is where the magic comes from, then we really do have some problems on our hands. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new as always. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this down in the comment section below, because I'm kind of worried right now. I think that maybe Call of Duty would have struggled anyway, but just the amount of money that Activision Blizzard are, you know, they're really good salespeople, obviously. They're selling these spots for millions of dollars, which is, okay, fair enough. But is it worth it? I don't think so, and I think at some point it's going to come back to bite us, or, you know, things aren't, I don't think the future's looking particularly bright for esports, which is at least in the short term, which is why I'm kind of worried. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.